There you go. Hello.
Hello.
Tosspot. Good evening, good evening, and hello, and good afternoon, and good morning, and welcome to episode 3 of the General Podcast. Just to start off, if anyone's here just to listen to about general chat about the Premier League, skip it because we're just going to the first little bit about this is going to be talking about last night's Reading game, and then we will get on to the Premier League. And there's a old firm game. Yeah, see that? Kings of Scotland. Fuck you, Celtic. We will be discussing a little bit about the old firm game. And then we will do. I'm gonna put Ryan on the spot. We're gonna do a Premier League predictions. Who we think are gonna win this weekend. We have a little chat about the Champions League, not too much because we both didn't really watch it because we were watching Reading. But I've caught glimpses of the highlights and things that are going on about. And so we'll have a little chat about that. We'll have a little chat about the NFL at the end. There's one person I want to talk about on the NFL, and there's one game I want to talk about just quickly about that. And also the F1 is back this weekend, but we will build up to the F1 race later on at the end of the podcast. So if you're here for F1, skip nearer to the end, and we will be discussing that. So please don't forget, and I say this every episode, and I will keep saying this until I hit 1 million followers on every platform, is don't forget to go and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, we're on Tumblr now, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, we are on there as well. Don't forget as well, you can watch this on YouTube, and the only place you can watch it on YouTube. And don't forget, we are the very first podcast on the Reading podcast to ever do a YouTube video. No, everyone's trying to copy. But we are now officially on Soundcloud for you guys to listen. Soundcloud, Spotify. I'll tell you what, Ryan. Spotify. That was a fight and a half. And Apple Music. We are finally with them. This is for everyone to listen because I don't really care if you guys know this. But when I was, let you know as well, when I was doing Spotify yesterday, I went on it and I went, right, Rai says that we have a bit of issue with it. Let's go and check it out and see what I can do. Hour it took me to try and get certain things from SoundCloud to, there was like a code, the RSS feed. I had to get that and then post it into Spotify, and it was like, and then
the problem I always had with it was that it needed to be a
MP3, didn't you?
MP3,
yeah.
But we always uploaded it in MP4.
It took the MP4. It's quite funny because all the stuff that we do, it just took it. It said, yeah, absolutely fine. And then I flicked on one of the sounds yesterday and it worked perfectly. And all of them are on. So all of them from the very beginning, our very first episode we've done on here is on there now for you guys to go and listen. We're on there as well. And Apple Music, I think there's 2 of ours now. But there's one that does up to 30 that we're on.
There you go.
Yeah, see? Are you following?
I've literally just typed it in, Mark.
But yeah, no, all of it will be in the link description below. And when we release this today, we will give you a link. I look like Superman with my hair just then. I wish I was Superman. And going into that as well. So it's going to be, we're on a new platform now. We're building up. We've got a special guest coming Friday. If you don't know who the special guest that coming Friday is, we said it on our Instagram live after the game yesterday for you guys listening on the Tuesday. So if you want to get breaking news or anything that's going on the podcast that we normally don't talk about, or I might just go fuck it in a bucket and just say it, then go onto our Instagram lives after the game. Yeah, he can confirm it is true. I did say it. I sat there with Ryan, with Adam, who is going to be in my Instagram live co-host special guest thingy.
Yeah.
We also did say last night that Adam is coming on with Ryan as well on a executive producer type role. Basically means put me into shape and try and organize the podcast a lot better for me and help me out. Because basically I'm trying to do 90 million things at once. And I know the other two have a lot to do, but they have a lot of Adam has a lot of intelligence, and Ryan has something where he's going
to.
Yes. So I said this last night as well. I said that you're basically the statistician, and someone that can go, right, if we're going to do something, Ryan will find a way of creating it and make it easier for me to understand for when we present it on the podcast. So Ryan's going to come on. We've got a meeting tomorrow where we're going to be sitting down all together, and we're going to go through some of the ideas I have for the future. I'm going to, by the way, I'm telling you this as well. I'm going to share you the document as soon as this finishes, so you can put your ideas down as well, and we can all go through them. So that's happening. We are going out from there. So we're on the Spotify. We're about here for Apple Music. That's the thing I want to talk about. My mate just texted me about that. I've completely forgot about it, but that's one thing I want to talk about. Yeah, that has to be talked about. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the Wycombe game. So I know that we spoke about it before. We were all very, very confident, I think, maybe a bit too confident, looking at the game now, going into it thinking we were going to absolutely smash them. I'm just getting up here we go. So the score predictions were that we all went for, me, Ryan and Courtney. Courtney went for 4-1, you went for 4-0, I went for 3-0. Basically, the reason why is we looked at the history between Reading and Wycombe. Reading have won 8 games, drawn 2, lost 2, and the previous 5 games was that Reading beat Wycombe 2-0, then we drew 1-1, we beat them 2-0, 2-0, and then draw with them 1-1, but beat them on penalties in the League Cup. So when you saw the starting lineup, which was basically, I'm not even going to have to run through it because it was unchanged
and the bench.
Unchanged from the Borough game. I think we predicted that, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
I think we said the only change that we would make.
I think for
Holmes. I think that was the only change we said that we were going to make.
And we even said we wouldn't make it.
No,
it was the only one that we could see happening.
So that went into it. So I think we were all happy with that. What did you make of the first half?
Awful.
I have a very different view to that.
You can't sugarcoat it. We was awful.
I'm not sugarcoating it. I don't think it was awful. I don't think it was brilliant, but it was not awful. I think awful would be if Reading actually conceded. I think let
me ask you this. Name another 45 minutes of football we have played in the last 3 years that was worse than that.
Wigan at home.
Was it
Ipswich Town? Ipswich Town, last game of the season at home.
More than 3 years ago.
That was not more than 3 years.
Surely more than 3 years.
That was not 3. That was at least 3. At least.
Yeah, at least more than 3.
No. That was before 3. That's got to be at least 3 years ago.
We lost that 5-1, didn't we?
4-1, I think. 4-1, I think it was in the end. Chris Gunter's whole 45-minute career. Gareth McCleary trying to kick a ball. My obsession for them is getting quite ridiculous now. But anyway, I think there's been quite a few games that I could class as Reading and not done very well. But I think we got to think about it as well is I think what we got to take into perspective is we need to start comparing. We need to not think about, it was a very terrible game. But let's think about it. If this was this time last year under Bowen or Gomez, that would not have been 0-0 at half time.
No,
we would have been losing that.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
So that's the perspective I took on that when I was on Instagram Live. Was it weren't great and it wasn't terrible, because if it was terrible, we would have been losing. Are you trying to search when the Ipswich game was?
No. I'm watching the Champions League highlights.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't too much of a. I thought for the first half, I thought Jow, Mate, Elise, Richards, Ijaria did okay. I wouldn't put him as terrible, but I think the three front players out of the 4, and Richards did not have a good first half. And I think even Mate said after the game when he tweeted, he goes, "Not my best, but not my good performance at all. Thank you for the team for your hard work and getting us the win." Do you know what? I quite like that. I respect that more than when we just win a game and someone comes out and they didn't have a good game. Yeah, we did well, we won. You played like shit. Admit that you didn't do well. Show that you're actually some type of fucking human. But respect to Mate for doing that. What did you think about the second half?
A lot better. A lot better. But again, like you said, about under Gomez or Bowen, if we were under either of them, we would have seen out a 0-0 draw.
Yeah. Well, no 0-0 draw. It would have been like a 2-0 win to Wycombe, I bet.
Yeah. It would have only gone one way, and it wouldn't have been a positive result for us. As for who was it? They were saying, so Zhao didn't have a great first half, but he took the goal fantastically.
God, do you know what? That had Nelson Oliveira versus Blackburn vibes to that goal.
Yeah.
By the way, the Ipswich loss was 4-0, and it was in 2018. So it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Go, Carol.
Yeah. But we really grew into the game. One thing that stood out to me last night was after the game. I don't know if you saw what Paunovic said, but he described
I haven't watched it yet.
He described that as our toughest challenge so far.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams are going to be guilty of what myself, you, and Courtney done last week. Underestimating Wycombe. Because I even said it at the weekend. They were very, very unlucky against Millwall. They had a perfectly good equaliser ruled, disallowed for a foul on the keeper when there was no one within 5 yards of him.
Yeah.
They looked a decent team yesterday. I say a decent. We made them look good.
I don't. Yeah and no. I get the comment. I hate that because the teams turn up for a reason.
We made them look a lot better than they were.
Did we, or were they better than we expected?
Both. We were expecting. Do I say walkover? But you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
We were expecting a team to turn up that we would. All right, thank you for the 3 points. See you later on in the season for 3 more.
Yeah.
But now we're more, and I think a lot of teams are going to be guilty of doing that because they've grown into the season. Yeah, they didn't have a great start. They're still not having a great start, but I think they could get away with feeling a little bit hard done by from yesterday's result. They could get away with feeling very hard done by not getting a point against Millwall.
I'll tell you what flipped it for me. What really flipped the switch for Redden was, and I'm going to moan. I had a moan on Instagram Live last night. I'm going to have a moan now. Is I hate the disrespect Tom Holmes got on Twitter.
Why?
They were fucking horrible about him.
Why?
Because they were saying all he does is he hasn't got any pace. And every time he goes forward, he just turns around and goes backwards. Or if there's nowhere to go, he passes it back to the keeper. Right.
I'm going to say one thing about that before you go.
You go, because I'm going to go for
if he plays it back to Liam Moore, who keeps the ball, are they going to score?
No,
they're not.
No, I completely agree with you.
You can't concede if you have the ball. That's basic football.
And that was the one thing that had frustrated me last night, was seeing people saying
he hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, he hasn't done anything wrong. I think you can see that he's out of his depth at times at right back, but he still reels it in and does well.
I think yesterday he was unlucky to be subbed off, and he didn't do anything to
I don't think he did anything wrong. But I think if you
down to pound.
Yeah, and I think is that he didn't do anything wrong, but you could definitely tell. And this is the thing that I was going to go into. What flipped the switch for me was, I think Holmes did very well what he does best. And I said this last night on Instagram Live, was when he got the ball and kept it. And if he went long to Mate or Jal, who are big enough and tall enough to actually win it and to keep the ball. He didn't just lump it up there for no freaking reason, which I saw some people say. I still to this day say that Holmes is a better right back than Gunter, and I will still stick to that by his performances. Gunter would have done probably like a 3 and probably fell over 4 times if someone challenged him, but Holmes got stuck in and did it. The thing that flipped the switch for our win yesterday was Estevez and Semedo when they come on.
Yeah.
I talked to my brother last night who's plays futsal, and he loves futsal and plays it as well. Shout out, Matthew. You're probably not listening. I'm picking you up Friday. I'm gonna shit in your face. But he's coming back for a week because he's got reading week. He's got half term sort of thing at Wembley.
I hope he's listening now.
Huh?
I hope he's listening now.
I hope he is as well.
Because I know that you'll pick him up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay.
so. I think Mum told him.
I
think Mum told him because I'm going out with Mum. We're gonna go and have a coffee and she's buying me lunch because I told her.
I've just seen a interesting stat. You might have seen it because Tyler Stan put it on Twitter 12 hours ago.
Oh, I was asleep probably.
Okay. Last season, how many games? I'll do it in a question format.
Go on.
How long do you reckon it took us to get 16 points last season?
We're on 6 games now, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 20?
16.
It took us 16 games to get 16 points.
Yeah, 10 less this season. And they've also done it into like a percentage. That's 21% less of the season.
Ooh, that's good. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, Reading have just come up on Sky Sports. Just see out the corner of my eye. Just Reading just scored Gel and everyone just going over to him. Fucking yes, look at that. Beautiful. Oh, they're talking about us. Oh, I'm going to pause the recording just to see. We're getting love on Sky Sports. Sorry, I had to pause the recording. Just wanted to listen to the love that we got. Bristol, what are you doing? Oh, that's such a shit goal to concede. I should be having this on while I'm talking. But yeah, no, and I think as I was go back to what I was saying about Reading was when I was speaking to my brother last night with Estevez, was if you watched him with his feet on the ball, he didn't stop moving. When the ball comes to his feet were on top of the ball, and he was controlling it, looking for it movement-wise. He was looking for a pass to go forward as well. And the thing that really got me excited was when he overlapped. I think it was Mate at the time, but he overlapped someone down the wing, and they should have slid him through to get another chance, but he didn't do it. And I could just see that he has defending might be a bit of an issue, but he hasn't really been tested yet defensively. But I think he was all right. Semedo, on the other hand, I am pleasantly surprised. I saw a lot, not that I actually give a shit what Nottingham Forest fans think, because they got it wrong before with Pele. But if we look at Semedo, when he's sort of become a man of, he's becoming we've got a team of James Milners. He's come on as a centre defensive midfielder type of player, but he was at one point he was left wing, he was attacking mid. Tom McIntyre is now a centre mid. What did you think about the impact of Estevez and Semedo?
I'm not only going to say about them two, but I saw someone put in our group chat on Twitter last night. Absolute credit to Paunovic making the right subs at the right times.
Yeah. And that was the one thing, I think if we remember going back all the way back to the beginning, Chicago Fire fans said that was the one thing he was bad at.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I saw a thing as well, and I've said this from the beginning. How much? And you put this in the chat last night, and you did it in the group chat last night when you were talking to your friend, and you said, how much credit does the owner deserve? And I've said this, and I think it's very well clear that I'm very much a die young fan. Where I majority 90% of his stuff that he's done I've agreed with, and I don't know I think me and you both agreed. I'm not just going to say myself, but I think me and you both agreed that he does things for a reason, and there's a certain reason why he does things. And I think the only step wrong that he's done is Rongouli. I think that was the only him.
But I'm gonna go on the other hand. I think there's a couple of things that Gourlay done that aren't bad things. Look at like Mate now.
Yeah.
When he gave him that 4-year contract, how many people were saying,
"Yeah, I was one of them. What are you doing? Yeah,
what are we doing?" I'm not 100% sure if I'm right, but did Gourlay bring in Swift, Moore, and another one? It's a controversial one because obviously our fans are not fans, but he was also the one that brought in a Luco. And I've been impressed with him since he's come back.
Who, Luco?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we'll talk about the Rotherham game the next game. But one thing I did say on Instagram Live was I would start him.
We need to rotate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Also, if he hadn't have made that mistake bringing Gourlay into the club, how much of a different position would we be in now?
Champions League, I think.
I think we'd be in a worse position, to be honest. Because I think it kind of shown him to do it his way and not trust so easily, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I can see where the thing is. And I think if 90% of our fans... I'm trying to think of a right way of putting this. I think if people really took the finance side out of what he did, because he fucked us financially. Let's put it that way. Financially, he fucked us in the bucket and just went, get over it, deal with it. If you take the finance side away from what he did, it weren't bad.
No, because look, like there's still like 6 or 7 first team players that are still at the club that he brought in.
Oh, Middlesbrough beat Bristol. Oh, okay. Okay. We drew against Middlesbrough. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Right, let's move on. We're top of the league, 3 points clear. Bournemouth, because Bournemouth got a game in hand now against
Cardiff.
Thank you. Are they playing Cardiff tonight? They're playing tonight, aren't they? Yeah.
Cardiff tonight, and then they've got Watford at the weekend.
Oh, I'm hoping for a draw out of that and we win. Get some more points on the board. Right, now we're going to go on to the Premier League. Let's have a discussion. First topic of discussion, I think, is probably the most wide world talk at the moment. Liverpool versus Everton. Put your personal opinions aside before you go into this conversation, because I can already see that smug face, isn't it? Right, let's talk about the game. I think that's the first... I wouldn't say it's the first time, but I think that really showed Everton's capabilities now this season, because they've had goodish games before, not tough games, but goodish games before. But this was the toughest test that they were going to have this season. And they definitely rose to that challenge. Well, yeah. Pickford definitely rose to Van Dijk's leg.
Not as much as Villa rose to the challenge. Why have people stopped talking about that?
We are going to talk about Villa.
No, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, I know, because it's Villa. And they don't deserve to be talked
about it.
Because we shouldn't be talking about Villa. I can't stand Villa. But right.
Emi Martinez.
He's the only reason why I like him at the moment, is because of Emi Martinez. That's it. And maybe Jack Grealish, because I quite like Grealish. But he's a bit of a bell end, but I quite like him as a footballer. And I also quite like Ross Barkley as well. I think he's quite a good footballer as well.
Do you just want to say you like Villa?
No, I'm not going to say I like Villa, because I don't like Villa. I don't like Villa. I like Ollie Watkins as well. Anyway, so let's talk about Virgil van Dijk's injury. It should have been a red card, let's be honest. That should have been a straight red and a penalty to Liverpool. The thing that I don't understand and I don't get is VAR said that they checked the possible offside decision. Okay, that's fine. But then why didn't the referee go, look, we need to check something here? We've seen Pickford go in like Karate Kid. I understand.
I'm going to mention something that I saw on Twitter, but Rob Green completely took the whole incident as a whole, analysed it piece by piece, and it's actually like really interesting to watch from a goalkeeper's perspective.
Yeah.
And he's like proper analysed it.
I think I saw Mark Bosnich.
I could have been him actually.
Where he was talking about the incident from when he was on Sky, I think it was.
Yeah, I thought that was green.
But I saw Mark Bosnich, you said, no, should have checked it for offside. But now the Premier League need to do something and do retrospective action because them missing it out and because of them not doing it. I think it should have been a red card. I also think that the goal at the end should have been a goal and it should have stood. That it was not offside. I saw a thing, and I want to get your opinion on this. I think I saw a thing where Arsene Wenger said about the offside rule. And he goes, if your body part, if the goal that... Right, I've got to try and fucking put my teeth in. If you're offside, the only way you could be offside is the body part of what you score, what you can legally score with is offside. Not your elbow, because that counts as handball.
I think they have changed that.
Down. No, because they've done it from the sleeve up. That's still handball, though. So that makes no fucking sense.
I think now shoulder is where it goes. So if you was like that, pointing over there to like, say, play it there, the offside is there. Not
but the way that incident happened was to his elbow. It was like his elbow was offside.
But his elbow was level with his body. So his shoulder was at the same... Does that make sense?
No. But I think it has to be, if you're like your head or your foot, if your head or your foot's offside, it's offside. Yeah. It's offside. And that's the only thing that should be offside, that should count as offside, is you're doing that. And for me, and I also think the offside should always go with the attacker. It should never go for the defenders. If it's that close to, you have to put a ruler out for it, then there's no point doing it. I like VAR, and I want VAR to stay, but they need to fucking make it work better. Jesus Christ.
I was going to say, I was talking to my brother about this, and obviously in tennis, you have the challenge system. In cricket, you have the video review.
Yeah.
In rugby, you have that. In all of them...
And in NFL, you have a video challenge as well.
Yeah. In all of them, how what's the word? How good is the like video quality, if that makes sense?
Oh, Hawkeye is excellent.
Yeah. But the quality that the VAR officials have, I believe, is like 12 frames a second.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Which is nowhere near as good. So you can... What I'm saying is, like, you'd have a ball played over the top and to see if it's offside, but sometimes it's not actually possible to get the exact moment that ball left his foot.
Mm-hmm.
You could get when it's that far away, but when you're going at that speed, that far away could be 2 meters, especially when you're someone like Sadio Mane up against someone like Seamus Coleman. Like, no disrespect, but that is a complete mismatch in terms of pace.
It is complete, and it's not having someone any striker up against Harry Maguire. Is you're going to outpace him. You don't need that much time to outpace him, and that's the thing. I think Hawkeye is a good way of doing it. Goal line technology is excellent. You can't go wrong with that at the moment. Well, apart from the Villa Sheffield United game when they decided not to turn it on. But yeah. So that was interesting. So I think Premier League should have done something to Pickford, retrospective action, because of how dangerous it was. But at the same time, Liverpool have now got the biggest challenge. Actually, I say this biggest challenge of to retain their title, because if you think about it, Man City have had to deal with this, where they've had one clean defender. They've had to shove a centre defensive mid in there, like Fernandinho, to go in and cover it. So now, Man City and Liverpool, well, apart from now that Man City have got Nathan Ake, Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz, by the way, in my opinion, is one of the best signings in the summer window. Rate him so highly. I love Ruben Diaz. And he definitely proved that against Arsenal with their win as well. But I think now it's going to be a chat, and now it's become a more wider race. Everton are now in amongst it. I would have said Tottenham until
they done a Tottenham.
Yeah,
Spurs.
let's talk about that. I was going to talk about it a little bit later on, but let's talk about it. Did you watch the game? I think we were talking about it. If you listen to the last podcast on the Monday, I went, "Oh, Tottenham are 1-0 up," and then by the time I stopped recording, walked out the room, went and watched about 5 minutes of it. Tottenham were 3-0 up at that time, and I was getting really happy because Harry Kane was in my fantasy football.
Yeah, me too.
Did you captain him?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a dickhead. Well, my brother captained Timo Werner. And I think he got 2 goals and assists as well, like Harry Kane as well. But yeah, no. So let's talk about that. 3-0 up after 16 minutes. They played it a Jose Mourinho masterclass where they were defending they were just defending. At one point at the end of the first half, Harry Kane was in his own box blocking a shot, which was amazing. I was like, fair play to Harry Kane. I didn't realise Barcelona and Juventus were in the same group. Jesus. So what are we thinking then? Are we? What do we think about that? I wouldn't even say second half. I would say the last 9 minutes of it. That was just utter ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah. What a goal from Lanzini though.
That bloke has done nothing in about a year and a half.
Yeah, they're completely right with what people are saying. That is a once in a season, sometimes once in a career goal.
Yeah.
I think I said to my brother,
Philip Coutinho.
I said to my brother as well, Lanzini could try that 999 more times. He will never, ever, ever do that again.
Yeah. Especially with the outside of his foot as well, to even get the slice on that as well. So fair play to West Ham. I thought they were dead and buried. I thought they were out of the game.
One thing I liked as well was Moyes' reaction.
Yeah, running on the pitch.
Yeah. Did you hear what he said in the interview after the game?
No.
They asked him something about maybe over celebrating, and he just said, "Well, I've seen a certain manager run down the touchline when they've scored a late goal, but I didn't want to do that."
Good old Mourinho. Good old Mourinho. Bale. I'll tell you what, Tottenham's best signing that they've made so far is their left back, Sergio.
Brazilian.
Bale, when he come on, there was a split. He didn't really have much of the ball, but when he did, there was a split chance where he just missed. And you were like, okay, he's back. He's going to be back. As soon as he starts getting match fitness in, he's going to be back to his best. And then West Ham just went, fuck it. But yeah, let's go on to talk about who should we go on to now? Man United beating Newcastle. It's a piece of shit. I was thinking about this the other day, right? Is they beat Newcastle and they just beat Paris Saint-Germain. But I still don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right manager for Man United. I think, and I was thinking about this the other day, if there was a manager out there in the world who could... If you had to replace... Okay, I'm going to ask you the question because I can't think of a way of putting it. If you could replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a manager, who would you pick?
I don't know.
Mine? Me, I know exactly who I'd have. Diego Simeone. That man would kick Paul Pogba to shit. Paul Pogba would even be able to be like, fucking hell. That team needs someone that you're scared of. Look at Sir Alex. Sir Alex Ferguson was a very good man manager, but as soon as the flip the switch happened, you shit scared of him. And I think everyone was the same. And if you look at any manager they've had come in since then, they haven't had the, I wouldn't say anger levels to sort of compete with Sir Alex as in discipline or anything like that. Like Bruno Fernandes, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did to Harry Maguire if Diego Simeone was in that dressing room. at the same time, the Harry Maguire would not be performing the way he's performing if Diego Simeone was put in there. But last night, when you guys listen to this, I wouldn't say ripped the shreds to Paris Saint-Germain, but they went there with a brilliant game plan and did it perfectly. But I want to quickly, before we go back onto the Premier League and before we get back onto, I want to talk about Aston Villa, I want to quickly jump up to Scotland just for a couple of seconds and talk about the old firm derby. Rangers versus Celtic. Did you watch any of the game? Did you not? Right, there was a point. Scott Brown.
Oh, I did see it on.
Morales have a hatred for each other. They really don't like each other at all. They don't. They both physically hate each other. And Scott Brown kept doing a little bit, and when the referee's back was on, he just went around the back of his head. But I tell you what, people were talking about this and saying, what is this match going to be like? Is it going to be the hard-nosed, tough match? Is it going to be, or is it going to be a tactical battle? And I tell you what, Steven Gerrard did a masterclass over Neil Lennon. Absolute master. Everyone bums Neil Lennon in Scotland. But if you look at Neil Lennon's record in Scotland, it's utter shit. The only thing he's ever done was do Celtic, and you don't need to do much with Celtic. You just need to tell them to go on the pitch and kick a ball, because all of their players are like 90% better than everyone else in the league. I don't rate Neil Lennon at all. I don't think he's a good manager whatsoever. But two very unpredicted goals, two crosses. Connor Goldson, former Brighton and Hove Albion defender.
I did see something. He scored twice, didn't he? I saw a screenshot of someone's bet on Twitter. They put £5 bet on him to score a brace at like 65-1, something like that.
Jesus, fair play to them.
In fact, no, it might even have been 50, you know?
Bloody hell.
I think he won about 1,500 quid from it.
Fair play. I would never have put a bet on like that, ever. But I think the funny thing was Shane Duffy, who went on loan to Celtic from Brighton, said, I'm excited, I can't wait for the move here. And Connor Golson on his Instagram page said, have you got a 14-day release clause in your contract so you can go somewhere else instead of that crap? And then there was a photo, he took a screenshot of that photo, and Shane Duffy's there laying on his knees, put his head down with Connor Golson's runaway celebrating, and he went, told you. Like that. I was like, fucking legend. I was like, absolute legend. But yeah, no, so yeah, that was I do love a good old, and Steven Gerrard is the first manager since Walter Smith to win back-to-back games at Celtic Park. I think the last time was like 19 something.
I was saying to you a few weeks ago as well about how solid at the back
Rangers are, yeah.
Bizarre.
They've only conceded, I think, 3 times.
Three this season.
That's it. But Steven Gerrard is doing wonders, and I think they said after the game is they've been working on how this team is going to play and how they're going to go moving forward for the past 3 years. And I think if Gerrard wins the league this season for Rangers and breaks Celtic's 10 in a row, I think Gerrard needs to be knighted because it breaks Celtic's 20 record. But I think if he wins this one, and I think if they stick with Neil Lennon in charge of Celtic, he'll win another 2 or 3 before he comes back to England.
So rephrase it till he comes back to Liverpool.
Yeah,
because that's
until Jurgen Klopp leaves.
Yeah.
But then you look at I do and do not want him to go to Liverpool. I'm like, yes, I want him to go to Liverpool. The Liverpool legend and king is going back home. But then look at what Frank Lampard's doing. And it's like, I'm not a big fan of Lampard at the moment. I don't think he's good enough for it's the players that they've brought to get the best out of them. And again, I would have Simone just because I love Simone. Absolutely love the bloke. Especially, I don't like what happened afterwards, but especially when I think it was Atletico versus Juventus and one of the games, and they scored a second, and he did that. hold his crutch celebration where he sort of thrusted it in his hand, and then Ronaldo went fuck it in a bucket and then just absolutely demolished Simone again. But I think that's brilliant. So let's go on to Aston Villa. My God, what's going on with them? How have they got so good?
The Emmy effect.
It's got to be. It has to be, because I think someone was saying he's kept his 4th clean sheet in a row.
He's kept more clean sheets than he's conceded goals.
And not only that, if you look at it as well, Matty Cash, they brought from Nottingham Forest. He looks like an absolute quality right back. I didn't watch much of the Leicester game or any, but
Me neither.
But I have to say that Ross Barkley and Grealish combination in the middle,
and McGinn,
and Douglas Luiz as well. We can't leave Douglas Luiz out as well. He's the anchor man in that team. I think Man City still have a buyback clause on him, if I'm right. I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be surprised if they activate that soon. If Rodri gets injured or when Fernandinho leaves.
How many points did you get on FPL this week?
No, I got 50 something, I think. Have a look. 51. Because I had Pickford in goal. That's why.
Mine again. Mine for like the 3rd week in a row was the case of Villa to the rescue.
Well, my strikers are Danny Ings, Calvert-Lewin, and Harry Kane.
Yeah, mine's Calvert-Lewin, Jimenez, and Kane this week.
Jimenez did well for you on Monday then, because he scored the winner against Leeds.
I got 74 points this week.
So I want to apologise. I don't really give a shit about Villa fans, but I'm going to apologise to them anyway and say that I tipped you to get relegated. I now tip you to be top half. I'm not changing my prediction because we can't. We've locked it in. So we will discuss that at the end of the season. But at this moment, with the way you lot are going, I tip you lot to be top half.
Should we do a little halfway through review as well so we can laugh at ourselves?
We will do that. I have an idea over the Christmas period.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, we will do that.
How can you do a halfway prediction, like review, on game week 6?
But we're going to do one over the Christmas or New Year period, probably the New Year one, where we're going to go through what we predicted to where we're going. I've got some ideas for the Christmas specials, and I've got an idea for a New Year's Day special, which will be recorded beforehand. Probably. Most probably. A New Year's Day or New Year's Eve special we're going to be doing. But I'm going to see how I can actually do it because it's quite a big thing. It's quite a big thing I've gone for. So is my Sky Sports been frozen? Yes, goodbye. Just fuck off. So let's go on to... I'm going to do a thing now where I'm going to ask your prediction. I'm not going to ask the scores because you always get it fucking right. But we're gonna. So at the end of these shows, I'm gonna ask Ryan's predictions for the Premier League matches coming up this weekend, and see what he picks and where he tips each team to be and where they think we're gonna go. And then we will review his predictions on the next week's show, podcast, whatever you really want to call it, to be honest. But I'm going to pause the recording and wait for him to come back. Right, here we go. We're back again. You lot will just probably have gone, and stop. Hello. But for us, that was just like ages because he took for so fucking long. So I'm going to ask your predictions for this weekend. I don't care. I'm not asking for score. Just asking for you who you think will win.
Okay.
So Aston Villa versus Leeds.
Villa.
West Ham versus Man City.
Man City.
Fulham, Crystal Palace.
Palace.
Man United versus Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Ooh. Okay. Liverpool versus Sheffield United.
I want to say one thing, but I'm gonna go with what I actually think. Liverpool.
You were going to say Sheffield United. I know.
Yeah.
Southampton versus Everton.
Everton.
Wolves versus Newcastle.
Uh,
That's a tough one, that is.
Yeah. No, I'm going to say Wolves.
Arsenal versus Leicester.
Arsenal.
Brighton versus West Brom.
Brighton.
And last one. There's no Tuesday game, is there? No. Oh, we're back again on Tuesday. Who are Reading playing? No, fuck me, we've got Blackburn.
Blackburn away.
Ugh. Burnley versus Tottenham.
Tottenham.
Yeah. I was
Tottenham to be leading in the 82nd minute.
So yes. So that is the Premier League review. We will be doing that again. Did you catch any of the NFL this weekend?
No.
So there was a game that I was really looking forward to. It was Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Green Bay Packers. And I tell you what, that game lived up to the hype. Aaron Rodgers decided first few plays, decided he was like the best thing in sliced bread, and he was, and he did everything perfectly. But the Tampa Bay defense went, and then so Green Bay went through a long throw. Aaron Rodgers went through it, got intercepted, and it turned over to Tom Brady, who just did a masterclass in doing 3-yard goals. And then literally the next play, Green Bay were in. Aaron Rodgers went for another throw, and it got intercepted for a pick six, for a touchdown as well. And then everyone's been waiting for it, and it hadn't happened since the start of the season. But Tom Brady to Rob Gronkowski for the very first time, and the Gronk and Brady definitely lived up to the hype in that game, and they beat Aaron Rodgers. They were 4-0. The Green Bay Packers were 4-0 up in the season. Looked like a team that could do really well, and Tampa Bay were 3-2, and looked like the roles were reversed. Green Bay didn't look very well, and Tampa Bay looked like a fucking great unit. And I'll talk about, and I want you to go and look at his highlights as well when you can, Ryan. There is a running back called Carl Henry, or King Henry is now being called, and he's running. He's the biggest, strongest running back I think I've ever seen in my life. He did a 90-yard touchdown run from his own half. And not only that, he powered through everyone. He is one of the best running backs with Carl McGaffney as well. And Kansas City Chiefs as well did a great running game against Buffalo Bills as well. I think they played them on the Tuesday night football. So it's going to be this season's going to be the most unpredictable season this year in the NFL. It's Kansas City will probably be there, but it's whoever is going to go up against Kansas City. It's just Kansas City looks so. Lance Stroll has just confirmed that he got tested positive after the German Grand Prix for COVID. The Canadian who missed the rest at Nürburgring was replaced by Nico Hülkenberg for qualifying. Broke the news on Instagram. So he got tested for COVID. Does that mean no? Because it's been 2 weeks now, hasn't it, since the last race? So he won't have to go in quarantine or anything. So the race coming up, I think it's this weekend, is Portugal. Formula One Heineken Grand Premio de Portugal 2020. So how are we feeling about this weekend? About Formula One?
Is everyone going to be racing?
I hope so. What do you mean by everyone?
All the actual drivers.
Yeah.
There's not anyone that's like not racing.
Not at the moment. No, not that I know of at the moment. No. They're all going to be there. Daniel Ricciardo, one that we didn't talk about the last race, but Daniel Ricciardo got top 3, and now the head engineer, I think it is for Renault, has now got to get a tattoo of Daniel Ricciardo because he had a bet with Ricciardo. If he doesn't get top 3, he has to get there as well. Lewis Hamilton I think the thing that was really cool about Lewis Hamilton's win was when Mick Schumacher Jr. Come out with Michael's helmet signed by Michael Schumacher and the rest of the Schumacher family when he equaled Schumacher's record for 91 wins, and presented with him. And what was really cool about that is he took that helmet onto the podium, and really kept hold of that and really looked after it. And it just shows the amount of respect that Lewis Hamilton has for previous drivers and previous things. And I think the lack of respect that he gets as well is really annoying. He is. I still think if everyone had the same car, if everyone drove exactly the same car, Lewis Hamilton would still be number one. I think it'll be very close between Verstappen and Ricciardo for second and third. Maybe Bottas might be in it. Kimi Raikkonen just wouldn't give a shit. He'll just fling himself wherever the fuck he wants, to be honest. Did you see his interview with Martin Brundle and the fuck is his name?
No, I didn't see it.
So they were talking about he's now got the most starts in Formula One history, and he sat there and just went, "I don't care. I don't care." And then they were talking about, and then Martin Brundle goes to Kimi. He goes, "Well, I've heard here that you as a driver can pick and choose when you've got the option yourself." He goes, "I don't know who told you that." He goes, "I don't. I sign a contract. They tell me to sign it. I sign it. At the moment, I haven't signed anything because I don't want to do it yet. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet." He goes, "I do this as the best comment I think I've ever heard. Someone who puts their life on the line every time they get. I do this as a hobby." I'm like, what? He goes, nah. And I think someone said as well that they think Antonio Giovinazzi will probably go to Haas, and they think that next season will be Kimi Raikkonen and Mick Schumacher, because I think they want someone of Kimi Raikkonen's ilk to sort of help and support Mick into the next steps. Give Kimi and Mick the seats for next season. Antonio Giovinazzi will probably go to Haas. I think Grosjean will miss out. I don't think Kevin Magnussen will be there next season either, at Haas either. I think Perez might go there because he's out without a seat as well. So I think next season, if we get rid of, I say get rid of, because that's a bit disrespectful to Grosjean and Magnussen, but I think if you bring up Mick Schumacher, because he's about to win the F2 season, ahead of Callum, one of the UK drivers. I think he's about to win the season from him. So I think as soon as he's won that, it goes on to it. And then we've got, so the next series, we've got Portugal, then we've got Italy, and then we've got Turkey, Bahrain twice, and then the last is Abu Dhabi in December, where I think if Lewis Hamilton wins Portugal and wins Italy, he can win the title in Turkey. I think that's how the point system goes. He can win it officially.
He's 69 clear at the moment.
Yeah. I'm not a child, I promise. Hold on, we're about to have a look. So he's on 230 points, and Valtteri Bottas is 161. Yeah, 69. Yeah, 69 points clear. And then Max Verstappen is third on 147. And then Daniel Ricciardo is fourth with 78.
And
Perez is fifth. Lando Norris is sixth. Jesus, Carlos Sainz is 11th. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's 8th. Albon 7th. Lance Stroll 9. George Russell and Nicholas Latifi on none. I feel so sorry for them. I really do hope they get a good car next year, especially with the takeover. But in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes on 391 points, Red Bull on 211. So they're 180 points ahead. Fucking maths was not working for me just then. So yeah. So all right, let's go for it. Who's going to be the top three? And Portugal.
2 seconds. You go first.
Going to go Bottas, Hamilton, Ricciardo.
I'm going to go Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen.
Yeah, I was going to go with that, but I was like, sneak a cheeky one in and see how it goes. Okay, then who's going to win the race? That's poll. Who's going to win it? Are we going to stick with the same? Lewis, Bottas, Verstappen.
Oh wait, was that pole?
Yeah.
I thought that was
No.
right. Yeah, that's top 3 finish. I think in that order. Hamilton.
I think so as well. If we're going to go outside of the top 3, I think Ricciardo will finish 4th. I think Norris will hopefully finish 5th. Sainz will hopefully finish a bit up. Albon needs to sort it out because his seat might be at the end of the season. So let's see how we go. The one thing I wanted to talk about, and the one thing I said that I put on the list, but I could skip it over for some reason. Petr Cech. He's been named in the Chelsea's Premier League team.
Was it Premier League? I thought it was Champions League.
No, both. He's been put in both. So he goes. So they have that much least faith in Kepa and Willie that they've now added Petr Cech to what the fuck? And he's actually signed a contract, Petr Cech, to be a player. So he's a technical advisor, but he's now signed a contract because you have to be a player. I looked at that and I went, how much of the disrespect is that to the Chelsea Academy of getting a 38-year-old who's retired now for what, a year and a bit now? He's retired since he left Arsenal. And now you've got Benjamin Mendy or someone Mendy, who looks like he's going to be a very, very good keeper for Chelsea, which was personally picked by Petr Cech as well.
Same career path as Cech.
Yeah. So pick the same. You got Kepa. Dear God. Then you've got
I think that Southampton's second goal was the end of Kepa.
Yeah. Which is a shame because I rated Kepa at Atletico Bilbao. I really rated Kepa at Atletico Bilbao. I hope he goes back to Bilbao. Maybe go back to Bilbao or go somewhere like Bilbao. But I hope he does do that. But yeah, he's a bit of a... Yeah. It gets to a point where they do it so much, you start to feel sorry for him. It's like, oh, come on, my man. What are you doing? But yes, no. Right, that's the end of this episode. Thank you ever so much for listening through. We had a little bit of a chat about Reading. We didn't want to diddle on it too long because the guests that we have coming on to Friday for you guys, we will be divulging more into the Reading team. And he will be talking about himself. We're going to chat about him. We're also going to have a little bit more chat about this season and last season, what he thinks of things. And then we're going to go into what we think can happen this weekend for the Reading game. So yes, so go and check that out. Don't forget, you can listen to this on Apple Music, Spotify. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can also listen to it on SoundCloud as well. So go and give us a follow. Go and subscribe to this as well. Click the bell to get notifications as soon as this goes live. You'll be able to watch it. We will see you guys Friday at 12, hopefully, where we will be doing that. We will see you guys as well Monday, where hopefully we'll have Courtney on again, where we will discuss all things Reading over the weekend, and then we will be back this time next week. We're not going to hopefully talk about Reading, I don't think. We probably will actually because it's
we will because we got game on Tuesday.
But we will discuss this Reading game as well. But we will also divulge a lot more into general sports as well. We might do a separate one. I'll see how I feel. I want to keep the general sports away from the Reading, but we'll see how it goes and what we'll do. But we will see you guys on Friday. If not, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.